Hi, everybody. Welcome to Coffee Break Classroom.
Today we have a really special episode that I kind of messed up the recording of, so we thought we would give you a little context.
Yeah, so this is a bit of a heads up that somebody forgot to hit record. So the first part of this episode is jumps right into the middle of a conversation.
Yeah, so this is a recording that we did with our moms for Mother's Day, and we thought it would be a really cool thing to do because both of our moms are former teachers. And I don't know, I thought this episode actually turned out really cool. I thought that it was, I think you used the word humbling. Do you want to talk about that?
I
No,
use the word
you
humbling.
did in my office because we were talking about how sometimes we think as educators what we do is super innovative.
Yes, yes. And then hearing all of the things that our moms have done in their time teaching and them saying, "Oh yeah, we used to do that. We just didn't call it that." They already knew all of the tips and tricks, and it was really nice to kind of listen to that and get some context for why we became educators, how we kind of learned the things that we do in the classroom and where that comes from.
Yeah, so we hope you enjoy this episode. It was really fun and really special for us to record. And also, this is the episode where Ben and I talk the least by far.
Yeah.
No.
All right, now we're
This
at.
is all good stuff. It's all good stuff. I was
Maybe
worried we were
it
missing
wasn't.
it.
Maybe it wasn't, son.
Well, you can tell Amanda if you want to cut.
That's true.
It was all good stuff.
It was all good stuff. It was definitely all good stuff.
So wait, when we talked yesterday, was that just yesterday, Ben? I feel like you said you had a story you wanted to tell at the beginning of the podcast.
I did because we actually did a second sound check. I don't know if this was the conversation that you were having ahead
It
of time.
was.
Was it? Okay.
Well,
Yeah. So she met my students because like they were coming into my office, and I was just like, I don't know if I told them that it was my mother or they figured it out because I was like, you have to hit the button. You have to. It's gonna be a button right here on your screen. Like it's gonna.
Yeah, that's usually apparent when you're saying, okay, look in the upper right-hand corner, just press it, right?
well, he was all worried about, me not being able to handle the Zoom because it's not something I do often. I mean, we live on a farm and I watch a child, our grandson. So, there's no Zoom involved in that. So he was all
There's Zoom
concerned,
involved with the child.
right?
Yeah.
Well, a different kind of Zoom.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's a
Um,
physical Zoom.
That's why I need my beer at the end of the day.
Welcome to Coffee Break Classroom, brewed for higher ed, where teaching meets good vibes. We're just two friends who love our work, our students, and more importantly, a good laugh. Here you can expect a blend of ridiculous classroom stories, a little education research, as well as some practical teaching advice. So grab your coffee, settle in. It sounds like it's going to be a good episode today.
Anyway, he was all concerned. I'm like, Ben, I just did a Zoom meeting last week. We host a county rabies clinic, and Ben's father and I are the ones in charge of it.
Oh.
So I did the meeting for it, and I had no problems. So we get on to do the sound check, and it was nothing but issues. So so then I was in a panic, and he's like, it'll be fine. I'm like, no sleep. Didn't sleep all night.
Well,
Yeah.
she figured out how to do the background stuff. So she was just going through and then like the screen, it was like overlapping the other buttons and she couldn't figure out how to get back. And it was just a very fun time.
There was no exit and it froze. So it was,
Oh,
it was
wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
that.
Perfect. That's perfect.
So, and I met his students.
So
And we had no sound. Sorry.
No.
Yeah.
I think it last year or the fall? I can't remember. For some reason, you were in Rochester one morning, Mom, and you came to my office at work for like, I had worked there for 20 years, and she walked in. I was like, do you guys want to meet my mom? To my other coworkers? You definitely beat me in that regard. I don't think any of my students met my mom.
I think it had to be very funny to just see your department chair being like, all right, Mom, goodbye. I love you.
You have to go now, Mom.
Yes.
Just sit quietly in the back, right?
Mom, I have to help my students. Mom.
As we say here, mom out.
I was looking. Do you realize this is our 30th episode?
I didn't
Wow.
notice that.
Yeah. It's our 30th episode, and it's a special Mother's Day episode.
Yeah. This is gonna be airing, I think, the Tuesday after Mother's Day.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
appropriate.
Right?
Every day should be Mother's Day.
Yes.
It's true. I agree. I agree with that. As the one man here, have children.
Smart.
Yes. So you don't have much of a choice. You have to agree with that.
No, exactly. I'm jumping right. I know when to agree. But no, I had this idea because I like both of our mothers were teachers, and like we talk about teaching, and I was like, we got Mother's Day coming up, and every time I know my mother watches because like she will be like, oh, I just watched this episode and tell me like 5 different things she thought about and could contribute. So I was like, we'll do an episode and we'll get her on there, and I thought it was going to be a very fun time.
That's awesome.
See, if you'd have told me ahead of time, we would have wrote them down because now I forget everything that I want to say. Senior moments hit more and more.
No. So welcome to our listeners. Welcome to Coffee Break Classroom, to a very special edition, our special Mother's Day edition.
Yeah.
We're going to introduce both of you, which I think both of you have seen your bios, but.
So yeah, Kari Schermerhorn has nearly 35 years of experience being a mother and 1 year of experience being a grandmother to my nephew. Prior to giving birth to her own wonderful son, she worked as a remedial math and reading teacher for Army soldiers while managing a farm of 25 horses and providing horseback riding lessons for folks in the local area. Being a 4-H leader and a member of the local agriculture advisory board, she found time to raise 2 children, drive them to school every day, because it's a really long bus trip. Like it was like an hour bus ride and it's like 15-minute drive. It was insane, very rural. And occasionally also substitute teach. She has also promised me to behave, and I keep telling her that is not necessary.
Well, it's no one's business how long Denise Brill has been a mother, but it's longer than 35 years. A mother to 2 very grown adults. She's the grandmother to 4 and has been, I put this in, a dog mom to a series of partly deranged pets.
True.
My mom has good dog stories, like for real.
Okay.
An avid lover of all things mathematical, Denise has taught in Catholic girls' high school as well as a small liberal arts college for over 30 years, for math levels ranging from remedial, which we now call developmental. Remedial is not a word that we use anymore. Math through calculus. Fun fact, one summer, my mom was my statistics teacher, and there was a boy who sat next to me in class and asked me at the beginning of every day if he thought my mom would let us out early today. She almost never did. So now very happily retired, Denise is hard to keep up with between her yoga classes and her water aerobics and her art classes and traveling the world. And Denise has made no such promise to behave. As ungovernable as I am, I learned from the best, and I am working to achieve your levels.
See, that's why I keep telling my mother she would be fine, because I was like, you don't, like, Amanda and I went to go get grape pie and just ding dong ditched like an old woman. Like it's
I can't believe
it's gonna be fine.
Cannot
You would have totally done that, like back when we just like, oh, we ring the doorbell. Oh, they don't have grape pies anymore. We should just leave because when is Cindy coming to the door? She's not coming. We should just leave.
It was like a fall day and we didn't have anything to do. And I was like, have you ever had grape pie? Let's go get some. And it turns out you can't get grape pie most of the year. Whoopsies. So.
Yeah.
It was like early June or something, I think, too. Like
Maybe
it's like not in
why.
season. Yeah.
And what would you do if this poor lady's grandson is listening to your podcast?
We would get some grape pies, that's sure.
Like so many grape pies. We like rang the doorbell and then there was this sign. It was very small and it was like no grape pies, only like strawberry rhubarb. And I was like, well, I don't want strawberry rhubarb. Let's just go.
I was just like, run quick to the car.
Sorry, Cindy.
Hope he stopped at least for an ice cream after that.
We did get some food.
We went to a farmer's market beforehand and there was a lot of good stuff. I got some maple bacon donuts and I think I got some there was something else that I got that I liked. I think it was like some garlic bread or something like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes, I feel like we ate some of that on the ride home.
We did. Yeah.
So we have a couple questions, but mostly this is super free flow. I
Yeah.
had a thought in the shower this morning as where most of my good ideas come from, but you go ahead, Ben.
Okay. I mean, whenever that feels like it goes in, Amanda, feel free to just
Fair
to
enough.
jump on it. But
Fair
yeah,
enough.
so we figured too, since there's two guests that we have today, whoever answers first can just be the person whose child asks the question. That way you don't have to like fight. um, so why don't you kind of both share with our audience a little bit about your background, what you did when you taught, and what made you interested in becoming a teacher in the first place?
Pass.
Okay.
Says
Well,
the
I
person who
became
told me they had 2 pages of notes.
I wrote the answers down for this one because it's my life and I'll forget it. It's the old age thing. No, and here we go. The Amish are going by. I grew up in a family business, farm equipment business. And
I can't hear them
wait.
that much, so it's
Okay.
Yeah, we can't hear the dog. We could just see him.
There are 3 here.
I can tell how loud they are just from experience, but like I think the audio is only picking up what's right in front of the camera, so you're very lucky.
That's good. That's good. No, I grew up in a family business, a farm equipment business. So my mom was the office manager, my aunt was the parts manager, my dad did the farm calls, and my uncle did the sales. So it was a big family unit. And I always went on the farm calls with my dad because I love the animals. So that's part of what led to where I am now. And my grandparents were always there, so I did a lot of outdoor things with my grandfathers and baking with my grandmothers and that sort of thing. And they were always helping people and doing things for people, and that kind of teaching fit that bill. My passion was to continue with that, and teaching fit that. So I went on and did an undergrad in math, Amanda's favorite from what I hear, and education. So I have an education background. I cannot imagine doing what a lot of your colleagues do and going in and teaching without having that education background. So shout out to you guys. But right out of college, I substitute taught to get my foot in the door places. And then I took a position as a civilian in the military teaching. It's called BSEP, Basic Skills Education Program. Everybody that enters the military takes an ASVAB test, and my students were the people that needed to raise their scores to stay in the Army. So they were self-motivated. If they didn't raise their scores for math and reading, they were out. So it was kind of a high stress. And the program was set up so it was individual work. They do reading or learn a skill on their own by, math, by reading how to do it, take a test, and then the teacher, quote unquote, would just grade it, hand it back to them. If they passed, they'd go on and do the next set, the building process that you guys talked about. That didn't work for any of them, none of them. I mean, the success rate there was very low because that's not the best way to learn. So I went in and I changed the whole program, and we made it whole group instruction, small group work. And and these are guys, I had 44 students total throughout the day. I had 4-hour class in the morning, 4-hour class in the afternoon. And they had a small time frame to learn a lot of material to pass this test. So
I can't imagine doing math for 4 hours. I
My
mean,
God.
my brain, and I'm a math teacher, my brain would have just been mush.
Well, we had, we made it fun. We did a lot of competitions. The really cool thing about my job then was it was people from all over the world, all aspects of life. So the math part, we would do group instruction, group activities, and then every Friday we would have competitions. And we did the same for vocabulary. There was like 14 pages of vocabulary, typed vocabulary they had to memorize. Some of these people did not even speak English. So, I mean, it was very difficult for them.
Yeah.
And there was no motivation. So we changed the program. And on Fridays, we would have a class competition. We just randomly divide up into 2 groups. And we do math problems on the board. And you get points for your team. And the vocabulary, I would write all of the words on the board. And then I'd say a definition. And then one member from each team would have to run up, erase the correct word. And whoever erased it first, got a point for their team. And of course, as we kept going throughout, the time frame, they would develop obstacles to go through. I mean, they're military. They'd have to go under desks. These are, big guys, and they're crawling under desks. It was just hilarious. So we made it fun, and the program was very successful. But then Ben came along. So I thought, okay, I need to
ruined it.
He dubbed himself FC, as in favorite child. But he was the first child. So, you go with that. Whatever. So we moved to where we are now, and I stayed home with him and his sister, who came along a year and a half later, and raised them till they were the ripe old age of 5 and 4, and went on and substitute taught in the elementary school where they were, and they got away with murder because their teachers were my friends. We're going to talk about that a little later.
She's got stories.
So, I'll shorten it up and see why I passed, They went on to middle school, and I thought, it's time to cut those apron strings. I'm done teaching. They're going to make their own path and learn and earn their own way. Which they needed to do. That is important. So I stayed home. We expanded on the farm and did riding lessons, had field trips. I taught horse education classes in a tri-county area, which up here, the counties are large.
Yeah.
When I say tri-county, the third county over is 2.5 hours away. I mean, it's a big area. Judged horse shows. We did breeding, training, sales, and we showed at a state and national level. It wasn't local; it was state and national. Yeah, so a lot of people don't know that.
I don't think I knew it was national.
Yeah. But those, it was, but those provided learning experience outside of the traditional classroom, which kind of circles back to how I started.
I ended up becoming a math major because I hated writing. And then I got into math education, and all I did was writing, right? So I ended up having to do that anyway, but that's how I got into math. And then the more I got into math, I mean, I remember one semester, I think it was like my second or third semester at college, I was taking like 12 hours of just math classes because I really enjoyed the math. And it was so different from high school math. It was like nothing, like high school math. And I really found how much I enjoyed it. And I said, and people go, I hate math. And I'm going, it's because you don't understand math. You don't have to memorize all these things. You just have to see how they're connected, And so that's how I got into math. And I essentially did the same thing you did, Kari, is I got it not at high school, because the high school is very regulated what you teach. But when I got into college, at that point, it was a 2-year liberal arts college. And they decided everybody had to take a math course, which is unheard of, so everybody in the college had to take a math course. So I interviewed for it because I was just finishing up I had just finished up my master's, and it was like, I think I wanted they were looking for someone, and they were so small. So I went in there, and my one question, they said, do you have any questions for us? And I said, yeah, if you hire me, how many people will be in the math department? Because in high school, there were like 4 or 5 of us, right? And they said, you'll increase it by 100% when we hire you. that was when I found out I was teaching everything. You know, it was not just one area. And they did have their remedial class, and that was the first thing I got into. Is I revamped it because I'm looking at it and I'm going, and I did just what you were talking about, adding fun to the class, you know, because you have to be comfortable and laugh and everything else. And so I rewrote the remedial class. In fact, I made it into 2 semesters. You know, if you tested really bad, you went and had 2. If you tested halfway decent, you went in the second one. And if you didn't need it at all, you just went in an accredited math course. But no, it was, and it was funny. We had what we needed to teach, but we didn't have a set schedule because we had very small classes for remedial. And I took it from the students. Like if they were getting one thing and I knew that something was like 3 weeks away, but it fit right in and they were asking questions, I just changed it. You know, I said, okay, we'll do that later. But you asked this question. And, you know, so and we had a lot of fun with it too. We did, you know, it was just, and because it was a small private college, a lot of our students were non-traditional. Some of them were my age, you know, and I remember this one guy, he came in and he was just about my age and he's looking at me and he's going, I don't know why you know more than I do. And I don't think I have to listen to, I mean, he was like challenging me, you know, and it was like, oh, okay. And he had come into my office and he asked me a question. I forget what it was. And he goes, okay, you know what you're talking about. Yeah. So he ended up being a fairly good friend later on as we got through. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It really was. And then it was, because it was so small, our faculty worked together. So I would talk to the psych teachers or I would talk to another group. And we came up with an applied stats course that would help them in their areas because I was doing the stats class. And I was doing, so there was one stats class for like 6 different majors, you know, so it had to cover a lot of the basics. But it was really a growing experience. I mean, it was just so nice. And the teachers that I worked with were just wonderful. You know, we just had an open, we would talk about different things mathematically and stuff. And one of the girls said, I don't know anything about math, but I do this. And she had this very elaborate quilting pattern. And I said, that is like all math, you know?
Yes.
But yeah. So that's how I got into it. And Amanda just got the math gene. I got the math gene from my father.
So Mom, Ben teaches physics.
Yes.
Tell Ben about your experience in college, in physics in college.
Okay, now we're going back to the early 70s, okay? And I should also say this. When I started college, I used a slide rule. We didn't have calculators. So I went from a slide rule to teaching in smart classrooms. So I mean, I went the gambit of everything. Yeah, but so when the teacher was, the professor, he was a retired NASA physicist, and he was there, and I was literally the only girl in the class because it was a physics majors class, not just a general class. Mm-hmm. And he would always come up to me. I mean, now he probably would have gotten in trouble. Honey, are you okay? Do you understand this? You know.
Oh my gosh.
No, I really didn't. Hey, but you learn to take advantage of this, right? In fact, the guys, they would ask him a question. They would say, Professor, what about this? And he goes, reread it. And he'd walk away, right? And then he'd say, Denise, ask him that question. He would say, well, this is how it goes. And he would explain everything. I think he was so shocked that I was in there because I think he checked to make sure I was really supposed to be in the classroom. Right. But yeah, no, it was. Education has come a long way when I first started teaching. Yeah.
It's come a long way, but a lot of things have stayed the same. A lot of the concepts, because when they do their podcasts, I think back and I'm like, we did this. Yeah. We did it. You know, only like hooks, when they talked about hooks, the episode on hooks. And I'm like, I did that all the time. it wasn't called a hook. It was just me being goofy and, attention. But,
Yeah.
that's how it was. We just did it.
And so I got an education degree too, but I never learned a lot of things in education. And there were things, as you say, as you're going along, you kind of like develop them, because I would have students, especially the remedial ones. It's like one of the things that I learned when I was going for my PhD, which by the way, I never finished. I got everything but the dissertation. But I learned that if a student knows 80% of the material, they'll keep it. If they learn less than 80% of it, they're going to forget it. So in the remedial class, we used to have a weekly quiz, and anybody who did not get 80% can take it over as many times as they wanted, and it was and it was nice, because this way I knew they attained, what they needed to, and they could do it. And all it was like 5 quick questions. And when I did a quiz in a class, I had like 3 different versions. So this row got this one, and I used to tell the students, if you look on someone's paper and you have the same answer, it's probably wrong, because you all have different quizzes, right? But and I really think it, I had people come up to me, especially older women, come up to me later and they said, thank you, because I never understood this, because they always saw math as a bunch of rules they had to memorize. And if the rules didn't, and they would always say, well, how do you get the answer? I said, well, what's the right way of doing it? And I'd say, well, the right way is what you see. If you see this, then follow that path, and for me to tell you is not going to help you learn, and they were always afraid of making mistakes. And one of the things I used to say is, you learn more from a mistake than doing a problem that you already know.
Exactly. And if you're actually learning something, you retain the material.
Yes.
If you're memorizing it for an exam or to get through a course, you don't retain it, and it's wasted time.
Yeah.
So it's got to be fun.
Our mothers are going to take over our podcast. They're doing a great job. They already do all the stuff.
Are we hijacking?
No, you're good. I'm just saying, you already know how to, you already talk about all the same stuff. I'm just hearing all of the things that you're doing. And I'm like, yeah, that's something that we're talking about.
When I used to talk to my mom about equitable grading, she was like, oh, I already did that. I did that 20 years ago. We just didn't call it that. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I also was like, I bet Ben gets in like 10 words tonight before we logged in. I was like, Ben has no chance tonight.
I'm a very quiet person in the first place, so it's just like, I don't know.
It's all good.
I don't like interrupting.
Well, when you're in an Italian family, that's the only way to be heard, is to interrupt.
True.
You're going to mute us, Denise.
That's right.
I don't think I can do that. Amanda can probably do that.
I won't.
You won't. That's the problem.
That's right.
One long bleep.
I got to use that last time, actually.
You probably will again.
Excellent.
Yeah, my father kept telling her that I was just like, we're going to have to go for 2 hours, so that way after you bleep everything, we still have an episode.
There you go. So, my daughter Isabel, I asked her a few years ago, because she's been a boss since she was like born, pretty much. And I was like, you're gonna be a teacher one day. And she's like, I will not continue this cycle of abuse. And so how do you two feel about your children following in the cycle of abuse? And Mom, you can go first since I asked the question.
There's 2 types of teachers, especially when you get to the college level, that I've seen. You have the teacher who their mindset is to control the class and make them learn this, and this, and they really don't listen to the students. And I think that's a horrible teacher. I don't even call them teachers. I think, they're just reciting. And then I remember somebody asked me, so what do you want them to learn? I said, I want them to think. I really just want them to think. If I get them thinking about something and it's not about math, that's okay, because I felt my job was to try and present enough viewpoints and enough different ways of doing something that they would start thinking about things before they respond.
I Amanda, from watching your podcasts and hearing your mom talk, I think you followed in her footsteps quite a bit. I think that's pretty neat to see. I really do. But both of our kids are teachers. Ben obviously doing what he does and you know, going above and beyond like you both are. And our daughter is his sister is a special ed teacher in the middle school. And I couldn't be more proud. Honestly, I could not be more proud. They're following their passion. It's kind of different from what I did, but the elements are the same. And I think the teaching styles are very similar. Unfortunately, they have a lot of my antics.
Which I bet the students like.
Oh, they loved it. They loved it. And so did the teachers. And when I was teaching elementary, wow, back to the BSET program with the soldiers, a lot of my people had all night duty. They couldn't miss class. So they had to do their, you know, trainings and whatnot outside of class. So they were literally going 24 hours with no sleep. Yeah. So I had a battery operated squirt gun. So if they started to doze off,
I would totally do that.
I would hit them with the squirt gun. And it was just fun. It was a fun atmosphere, and it made it fun for them as well. So they did stay awake most of the time.
Do you think we're still allowed? Do you think it would be bad if we did that? Like, do you think we'd get in trouble?
I threw a foam rock at a student Tuesday.
See, I feel like that's worse. Like, I'm just trying to figure out where the line is. Like, throwing something at a student versus like a water gun is like kind of harmless, right? Like,
I wouldn't do it. I mean, it was just.
I have tenure
now. It didn't look like a squirt gun. It was, you know, or it looked like a squirt gun. It was bright colors and, you know, but, and in the elementary, you know, when kids were aligned, you know how teachers walk with the front student and the kids follow along behind. I would pluck 4 or 5 kids out of the line and pull them into my classroom, and they just stay with me for the day until their teacher noticed they'd be missing.
Oh, that's funny.
Or I tell them it was National Hop Day, so they'd have to hop. So like the first 2 or 3 students would be, you know, walking like they should be, and then the rest of the line, they'd be hopping down the hall and the teacher wouldn't even know. I mean, so we would just have fun. And I had one 3rd grade teacher that was a friend of mine. I had stepped into her room to watch them while she was down taking care of something in the office. And I had said, anytime she asks you a question, answer with green. The answer is always going to be green. And say it loud and proud. Just say it. And so she came back and had no idea. And then they do that. And to this day, these kids are adults now. They still, when they see me in town, they'll shout green. So, you know, you got to have fun. You got to have fun.
You do.
And I see these guys doing that. Don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's the one that convinced me to do the like pop quiz with the baby animal name to test run it for the baby shower.
Yes.
Like, so yeah.
That was hilarious.
They had a hard time with that. It was very difficult for my students.
You know, but when you do weird things with your students, sometimes they don't know how to react. I know, you remember Elaine Weintraub, right? Amanda, that I taught with?
Yes.
Well, Elaine and I, we're the 2 math teachers, and our offices are next to each other. And she was crazy, and we had so much fun. And it was Halloween, so we said, let's dress up. Okay. So I mean, I had like a witch's hat or whatever, you know, I mean, stuff like that. Well, she had not only a witch's hat, and she had wild hair to begin with. She had these hanging earrings, which were blinking, like lanterns or something like that, right? And she walked into the room and got no response. I mean, the students just didn't do anything. And when they were leaving, she went up to them and she said, "Did you like my costume?" And she said, "Oh yeah." She said, "Well, why didn't you react?" She said, Mrs. Weintraub, you do such weird things. We didn't know if you were serious or not. We don't want you to get upset.
More hooks.
Yeah.
No, so I am very proud. I'm very proud of them for going into teaching, and I am really proud that they, do it the way they do it.
Agree.
And I'm grateful for the discussions that it generates.
Mm-hmm.
And every day we talk about how things went in the classroom and some of the things they did, and it's just nice. It's a special connection. It gives you a special connection. So
Yeah, no.
Mom, you actually had a question that you wanted to add to this.
I did,
Yeah.
and it's my turn.
Yeah.
So does that mean which means you should answer first, right?
I guess that's how we're doing.
Or
it'll
tell
be
you
funnier if I answer first.
Whoever says it the loudest gets to answer first.
I don't like that. It's not me.
I wanted to ask you guys if your mothers influenced your path into teaching, and explain why, if they did.
Yeah, I would say not at all. No, I'm just kidding.
Pass.
See, that's why I said it'd be funnier. I was gonna, because we've talked about this in like the origin episode, but like I decided I decided I wanted to teach when I was like a junior in high school, because like I was helping people and like they didn't get physics and I was explaining it and they were like, oh, I understand it now. And then I'm like, I like doing this. And so like my initial thought was like, I don't think so. But then as I thought more about it, I was like, I think I am the way that I am. And like, I was the way that I was because of like the way my mother being the teacher that she was. And like being raised on a farm and like that work ethic and like that empathy and all of the stuff that kind of comes in along from that I was able to kind of watch and observe and have growing up, I think, influence it in that way.
So I think I remember like growing up, I remember being like just spending a lot of time in your office, like growing up. When I had off of school, but mom had to work, I would like go and sit in her office, and so would my brother. And I have a couple memories of that I think were like one time my aunt actually is also a math teacher and was working at the same college as my mom. And so she had her two kids in her office and my brother and I were in my mom's office, and they were like around the corner from each other, and it was on the first floor. And this was back in the day when like you could open a window in in a college, and there was like a little courtyard, like you could see from my mom's office, you could see the window into my aunt's office, and we were just like running, jumping out the window, jumping in my aunt's window. And like my mom got pulled out of a faculty meeting and they were like, Mrs. Brill, your children are just jumping in and out of windows. So and it was your office that at that point was like right next to the art studio room.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
And that was super cool. I think that really demystified, I think, what it was like to be in a college. And another time I remember you had a faculty meeting and it was my brother Mike and I, we were watching TV. You had us like, you set us up in a room that had like a VCR.
Were you in there with Mike Dagnan's two kids too?
Yes.
Yeah, you got locked in the room?
We did.
Yeah.
For like a really it probably wasn't that long, but it felt really long. we got locked in the room. But anyway, I think that kind of, and like my mom always seemed like she was having fun. Like her work hours were good. She was like home with us all during the summer. And like she was there when we got home for, to get off the bus and things like that. Like, which when I had kids, I realized is like, you never get that time back when they first get off the bus and they're excited. Like that is gold. And so my kids now, like Chloe was home for spring break a couple weeks ago and she asked to come in, like to hang out in the lab. And like, that was so fun. And like, anyway, I'm getting emotional. But anyway, I felt like that was something cool that I passed down to her. that was because of you.
I'm going to start crying. You're crying.
Talk about bringing you into school. Do you remember when I was teaching at the high school, the girls' Catholic high school?
I know what you're going to tell.
And I always brought her into wherever I taught. And she went in, and she was with me, and she went in the principal's office, and there was this big 4-foot crucifix on the wall. And she goes, "Mommy, look, the letter T." And the nuns looked at me and said, "Oh, is that what she sees when she sees that?" And I said,
that was your last year at the Catholic school?
Yeah, that was pretty much it.
Thank you for your service.
But no, they were always, both of my kids around wherever I taught all the time. Yeah. And the one place, the one nun, this was when I was at the college, she knew, and the faculty, we were all almost the same age. So we all had kids at the same time. And when we did have faculty meetings or whatever later in the day, we went home, brought our kids back, and, we had them there. So they really got to know quite a few of them. Yeah. But the one sister, Adrian, she knew every child of all of the faculty members, and she'd seen, and how's Amanda and Michael doing today? It was like, it really was like more of a family atmosphere, and it was just very comfortable, Yeah.
I will say that I think that like my parents did influence my love of math and science, because I think just being a math teacher, and then bringing math homework home and then being able to make it fun and be able to do it, and that really kind of makes it enjoyable at home when you have somebody at home who can help with that stuff.
Yeah, I remember Michael one time came home with a math question, and the way he was the way they had showed him how to do it, I said, there's an easier way of doing this, and I was showing him. He's going, "Would you stop it? Stop showing me another way. I have to do it her way." And it was
like, just like when you guys would come home from school, we would make a copy of like a Sudoku puzzle or a crossword puzzle, and we would race to see who would finish first.
I think we've really been running the gambit of all of our questions just as we've been talking about stuff. But I mean, is there any specific wisdom that you might want to highlight from your teaching experience that you think would be relevant for those of us out there that are teaching college?
Yes, actually. Some of it was, being a student in college prompted some of, how can I make this better? And I just kind of reflected on that to answer this question. The first thing is, know your material, know your geology, know your physics, you've got to know your stuff, but you've also got to be able to convey it to the students in a way that they can understand it. That is like number one. Keep it interesting, which you guys are already doing. But that's something to stress with, and you guys are, because your podcasts are fun. It's something to stress with the people you are teaching and working with, and the higher ed program that you have. Do what you got to do. Sing, toss candy at them. I did that a lot. If somebody's engaged and paying attention and whatnot, a lot of times I'd keep candy in my pocket and I just toss a candy bar at them.
We were talking in our department meeting last week about whether or not it would be useful to give candy to students if they cleaned up their lab benches appropriately and put everything back where they needed to, because they just won't wrap the wires the way that they're supposed to.
Yes. It's a huge motivation, I'm telling you.
Food is a big motivation. I agree with you.
It works. It works. Chocolate works. I mean, if you got to sing to, really sing, just to keep their attention and keep it fun. Games that are, include the content of what you're teaching, which, those keep people engaged and they're having fun. And a lot of times they're learning and they don't even realize it. It's
Oh,
so much
yeah.
better than just sitting there and memorizing things. That does not work.
Right. Yeah.
But hooks are important. Which
Oh, I know. I have a story from when I had them do group work and stuff like that, right? So I had given them each like 3 questions, and there were separate groups. And I said, you all have to work together, and you have to hand in one paper. So, all one solution for all of them. And it was funny because this one girl who was very, very quiet, and she was very reserved, and they were talking about, and she goes, I don't think that's right. I think you need to do this. Well, the kids that were louder, like, she was right. She was right. Her thinking was right, and what she wanted to do was right. But the other 2 in her group were saying, I don't think that. And so they handed in the wrong answer. So, so when they handed it in, I said, you need to learn to listen to people. I said, because Sue had the right thought. She was the one. And you know what happened after that? Every time a question came up, she made her voice heard after that, because it was like, I was right, and she really took such a pride in that. And she really just learned to say, well, this is what I think. She was no longer afraid to say anything. But I was sitting there, and they're doing their group work, and I wanted to say something. I'm going, Denise, shut up. Shut up. They have to do it in their group. You can't interfere in their group.
Yeah, you've got to let them make mistakes. That's a huge part of the learning process, and sometimes that's hard. Our grandson he's 12 months old. He's been walking for about a month now. It's been really hard to let him fall. You want to be there to catch him, but you can't. And it's the same with the students. Let them make mistakes. It's a big part of learning. You got to keep the material relevant that you're teaching. I had a psych professor that was an elective that I took in college. And I mean, we learned so many things, and it had absolutely nothing to do with psychology. So I didn't remember any of the psychology things. I remembered what, a dozen yellow roses meant when you sent them to someone. It had nothing to do with the coursework. So you got to keep it relevant. That was one thing. And regardless of what age, give them the basic skills, like give them those things. Like here are some of the facts. Give them a chance to problem solve, discover things on their own, and like you said, make mistakes. Be mindful, kind. These people have, a lot of your students are non-traditional, that they've got jobs they're juggling along, families. Some people have no one. I mean, and that is a thing. You've got to be very mindful of that. Especially teaching in a non-traditional community college. You've got to be mindful that they have other things going on too besides your classroom. And the other thing, be clear with your expectations. Don't coddle them. I'm always getting after Ben with, grading late homework. Stop doing that. Work something out, but don't have so many,
We can cut this part out.
Yeah, that's going to be bleeded out, I'm sure.
No, it's fine.
Yes. Those are my words of wisdom for.
It's better. I got better.
He has gotten much better.
Okay.
He has, but most of his grading, his first semester or 2 was done the last week of the.
It was real bad.
It was. He may have gray hair.
You know what I started doing, like you said, Ben, when you get things late and you want to correct them because you want them to see what they did right.
Yeah.
You were right here. And I got to the point where I would look at it and I glance it and I would just put a plus or a minus, and I would put the plus in my book. So I didn't have to really correct it all, and it saved me time, because it's so time consuming to do all of that grading.
I've gotten in a good space with the rubrics, so I think we're in a much better space. Flexible deadlines where it does close after a while, and then I still will get maybe one or two things like afterwards, and it's like not a big deal. But rubrics have been helping me out a lot.
Yeah. But when you're letting 2/3 of your class, test late.
I know, Mom.
Okay, I'll mom out.
That's gonna be a clip.
We're still moms. We're still.
No, it's very good. I love it so much.
You guys have been saying this kind of all along, but what's your favorite story from the classroom or just working in a school?
I think because it was such a small college I was at, I didn't have just math people. And I got to appreciate all of I loved the people that I worked with, and I really had a lot of respect for them, and it was the bigger colleges would come and take these people eventually, because it really was, we had such a wonderful group. And it was, some of the relationships, now I've been retired 10 years, I still see these people. And in fact, the woman who was president of our college passed away this past winter, and they just had a celebration of life for her this past weekend. And it was most of the people that I had taught with that were up doing a lot of the present. It really was just a family, and it was not just discipline specific. It was right across the board. Yeah. But that was because we had a small college.
I talked about the military experiences already, so we won't repeat that. But in the elementary class, building where I taught, it's where Ben and his sister went to school. Also, one of my favorite memories, not with them, was in second grade. We were doing a STEM project, a basic STEM project, and we had talked about weather and rainbows, and we had this rainbow, and they were coloring it in, and this one little boy, he had drawn a line in one of the arches, and he had put in a different color. He had put in magenta in addition to the color that should have been there. And I'm like, man, what are you doing? and and I asked, and he got very defensive, and he's very serious, and he said, in my world there's magenta in the rainbow. And I'm like, oh wow. So and he was actually autistic. He did he was later on identified as autistic. So he was very serious about that. And it's a phrase that we use now in our family, well, in my world there's magenta in the rainbow. So that has stuck with us. But I was down in the office one day, and Benjamin was in first grade and Brittany in kindergarten, and they went into a K-1-2 program where kindergarten, first and second grade were one class. So the two of them, their first few years, were actually together, and they were very close. So I'm down in the office doing
I know what story this is going to be. I'm just letting you know that you can just say the word bleep where you need to save.
Well, no, this one isn't
a bleep.
Oh, this isn't the bleep one? Okay.
This is not the bleep one. That one is all on you, son.
Okay, checking.
So these two little cuties of mine come down to the office. Their teacher had sent them for a box of Kleenex, and they didn't see me in the office. So they went to the secretary and they said, Mrs. Bates, may we please have a box of Kleenex? You're young and beautiful, which is something I taught them to say when they were like 2. They wanted something. They had to say, you're young and beautiful. So they said, Mrs. Bates, may we please have some Kleenex? You're young and beautiful. And she was just so taken by that. She opened her drawer to her desk and gave them all the candy, and she had money in that drawer. It was in the fall, coupons for French fries for
For
McDonald's,
McDonald's,
that
yeah.
you hand out at Halloween. I mean, they went with pocketfuls of things, and she never did give them the Kleenex, and they went back to the classroom. So that we talk about that all the time. The rest of those stories you may need to bleep, and we'll share those in the last question. But one more. One of the things we did here at the farm was offer field trips for classes. And I had one ag class come through that was a tough class. I was on the ag advisory board. It was on 4-H for state and local levels on the board, and a 4-H leader we had a very active 4-H group. So I knew a lot of these kids. And I knew this group coming was going to be rough, and I needed to be just ahead of them with this. I mean, we have a horse farm. We have 4 stallions on this farm. So I needed them to be listening. So I get on the bus and I read them the riot act. And one of the things I said to them was, do not reach over and pet the horses without permission. And I said, I'm serious. This is a big one. Don't reach over the fence and don't pet the horses without permission. And I knew this one teenager had a habit of doing everything he wasn't told, or doing everything he was told to not do. So we get off the bus and we head down, and I'm doing a demonstration and showing them. We had mares and a mare and a baby, and we were talking about them and whatnot. And I could see this kid out of the corner of my eye, and I knew he'd do it. He's kind of backing away from the group and over toward the fence, and he's reaching his hand over, trying to get the other horses to come up to him so he could pet them. Exactly what I said to not do. But what I didn't tell him was on the backside of that fence, out of sight, was an electric fence that he couldn't see. So he got zapped, let out a yell. Behavior modification at its finest, right there.
Talk about informal learning experiences.
He was the best behaved student the whole rest of the field trip.
That'll do it.
Yes. And he does remember that also. So yeah, those are favorites.
Well,
those are favorites.
Now to be sentimental near the end of our episode, but do you have any wisdom from being mothers that you think is relevant to the teaching profession?
Those things go hand in hand.
Yeah, I know.
Again, like I said, give the basic skills, provide an opportunity to problem solve, make mistakes, because you're going to learn that way. That's how you learn. And I hope I did that with you.
I think I'm in good shape.
Yeah. And then, as you get more independent, then you kind of become a guide and just someone to help when you need help. I hope I don't tell you what to do all the time. Do I? He used to call me the helicopter mother because I did hover.
It was that, hover. And I think Fun Zapper was one of the other ones. If we're being like, I was
now, okay, all of you listening, really?
I was a child.
That was true. We took the team approach as a family. And I think that's important in a classroom. We're in this together. Let's make decisions together. They were always a part of the decision making. I know when Ben was young, and again, we had several stallions that we bred outside mares too. So springtime was very busy, and
I learned a lot of things real fast.
He did. But it's part of life. It's a life thing. But he
The
was like,
horse in front was sick, and the one in back is pushing it to Mount Sinai Hospital. It's like,
no, yeah. But we had, gotten a lot of the chores done, and a guy pulled in with a horse trailer, and Ben was, 2, 3 years old, and he's like, "Are you ready, Amanda? Bleep." He's like, "Can I say it?"
Just say bleep. Just say bleep where you need to.
And he says, "Bleepity bleep bleep, not another mare." The work was all on his shoulders, and he was all of 3 years old. But it was a team effort, and it's the same in a classroom. Let them be a part of the decision making. The other things: be genuine, be human, be there. Be present if they need. If they need to reach out, be available to them, and see when they're struggling. See that student that sits back and doesn't ask questions, and doesn't interact. Make sure they know you see them, and and everyone. That's just an example. And lead by example. There's a phrase that the world is changed by your example, not your opinion. Ben will tell you I probably do both. Inject my opinion also, but I try to lead by example, and you do that in a classroom as well. And the other thing I thought of was be very clear in your expectations. Set goals for them that are attainable. And sometimes it's got to be, the individual students. You've got to, some students can accomplish more, which was something very important in the K-1-2 classes, because you had 3 levels in there. And sometimes you had a 4th and 5th level you had to teach to. Some kids weren't, some kids came in not knowing the numbers. Some kids came in knowing how to multiply.
I remember getting pulled out in like 2nd grade to go learn my multiplication tables early.
Well, yeah, that's because we baked cookies at home, and we would count 3 rows of 4. There's 12 cookies on the sheet, and we would count 12 cookies and talk about that. And so, when ours went in, they knew those things. But I would also sit with 2nd graders in their classroom and teach them numbers and counting to 10. So you've got to, see what they need and teach accordingly. And the last thing, a good parent, I hope, and a good teacher. And stop laughing, son.
I'm just laughing because it's like the 3rd last thing.
Well,
no, it's good. This is wisdom. I'm writing it down.
No, I already have notes. You can.
Okay, that's good, because I wasn't writing it down. Just email me your list later.
No, you're on your own.
I'll listen to the episode.
The apron springs were cut. You're on your own. Sorry. Just self-evaluate, and change, if you see something that's not working for you as a teacher, change it and adjust to fit the situation. Going in and teaching one way every semester doesn't always work.
Yeah. In fact, I'd say that never works, because the group changes all the time.
Yeah, the demographics of the group change. So
no, that's true. Yeah, a lot of the things that you've talked about over your 30 different episodes and stuff, are all stuff that I recall in that. And the 2 things I would say, and I'm sure, and I know they've come up, is to meet them where they are, to see where the students are coming in from, because they're, as you said, they're not all at the same place, and some need some help. And I don't know if you remember this, man. In fact, I think I still have it in my house here. It was something I saw. I think I was about 20 years old, and I was on a vacation, and it says, no, actually I wasn't 20. I was pregnant with a man, and it said, 2 gifts we give our children are roots to ground them and wings to fly. Mm-hmm. And I look at that as a teacher too. you ground them in the basic things that they'll need for that, and not only in your discipline, but things that they'll use in all disciplines, and then from there leap off and see where it leads you, and that, because you've covered everything else as far, the humor and everything that you need, and it's got to be relaxing. You can't have a tense classroom, because when we started teaching, we had we never had computers. The students didn't have computers, and they all had them. And it was a stats class, and there was this one kid in the back, and I at first I was in the front, and then I was like, I got to start walking around. He had porn on his computer when I was walking back. And then the IT people gave us a thing where we could see what they were looking at. And I said, I want that in my class. And then we just turn them off. I couldn't see. But you never know what's going on in your classroom. You walk around all the time, and it's sometimes it's I forget what the person in the front of the room. I never just stood in the front of the room. I had to walk around. Because it's the only way to really connect to the people, especially in the back.
Yes, yes, that's a big thing. Get away from the desk. Get away from the boundary.
Yes,
and you're going to bring up porn on this episode. I did not.
I didn't. Yeah, I
I'm
didn't.
not the one that did it.
But it was...
And okay. Bringing it up, but then also telling IT that, like, I want the thing at the front of the room so I can know what's on all the screens. And I can watch all of the screens.
Tell your IT that you should be able to see what everybody's looking at.
I need to know what's happening.
Too far.
So our last question is, what is one of your favorite or fun stories about being our moms? And it can be school related, but it does not have to be.
You know what's funny about you, Amanda?
I'm excited.
No, because Amanda is very assertive and very, and if she doesn't agree with me, she would always argue with me. She was very argumentative. And I remember going in for the teacher, the teacher parent day. And I was waiting to get a real earful, right? Because she's usually very outspoken. And she goes, oh no, she's like perfect. She doesn't talk back, and she helps, and she does this, and she's always on task. And it's like, you sure we're talking about my Amanda?
I was a people pleaser. That's all I was.
I think that was your favorite teacher in grade. That she was your kindergarten teacher.
Oh, Mrs. Shearer, I think.
I think that, yeah. I can't remember her name. She was tall and blonde and very, very young. But she told me, she said, oh no, Amanda does everything I tell her to do. And and if somebody next to her isn't doing it, she'll correct them.
So funny.
I'm so ungovernable now. Things have changed.
It's so true. I was like, are you sure that's about Amanda?
They're ringing doorbells for ladies sell great pie, and then running away. You're out of control. I love it.
It's good. It's good to be out of control.
It is good.
So, Kari, what about you? What is a fun story from Ben's childhood?
Well, I'll do the two from school. I won't say anything about the going pee on the horse trailer. We'll skip that story.
Sure.
Do you remember that one?
I do, and I will share it because you can't just tease people like that. I will have them asking me at work, and I don't want that. Again, I was a child.
At a chairs meeting.
Yeah, exactly. No, they will.
Again, like, 2 or 3 years old.
I was how old? 3 or 4?
You were 2 or 3.
We were at a
4.
horse show because, and I only know this because I've been told it, not because I remember it. But it was like some sort of like team penning thing, like rodeo stuff that they used to go do, and I like needed to use the bathroom, and they're like, "Okay, go on the trailer." So I went and opened up the back of the trailer, and then just turned around and faced outward, and just like I like stood on the trailer, and then just peed outward into the world without a care as
No,
a child.
He actually climbed up on the wheel well on the trailer.
Oh, okay, that's what it was.
When we said go on the trailer, he thought we meant like stand on the trailer.
On the trailer, yeah.
Climbed up on the wheel well, faced the grandstand, all the people, the bleachers, and peed off. Yeah, that I wasn't going to share that story, but there it is.
Though.
Here we are.
But in the
I love you.
Yeah, Amanda, you may want to edit all that out for him.
No, it's fine. Keep it in there. It's hilarious.
I don't know, but
no, she loves that.
the K-1-2 teacher and the aide in the classroom that Ben and his sister had were very good friends of ours outside of school. His teacher and I went to college together, and we were very good friends. Their biggest hurdle was not calling her by her first name. They had to call her by her last name. And so, that was a big hurdle for them. So anyway, I spent a lot of time in that classroom, even when I wasn't working
Teaching.
in there.
Yeah.
It was, so they were, and I gave their teacher a break. So they were doing their morning routine, which was a calendar going over the days of the week and that sort of thing. They're young. And I had to step out for a minute, and I put Ben and Brittany in charge because they knew the material, and and that was also something that was done in the classroom.
It's been happening to me since a young age that I've just been put in charge of things.
So, yeah. So sometimes, so I had the teacher across the hall keep an eye on them, and I stepped out to go get their classroom teacher. And when I came back in, these two, Ben and Brittany, had taught the class the song "Who Let the Dogs Out." So, so much for days of the week. It was "Who Let the Dogs Out," and they were just jamming away. So, that stuck with us. So, yeah, he's been teaching a long time, just not necessarily physics.
You have to tell the swearing story now because you promised it, and then
yes,
and then I'm cutting you off.
So, they were copying ocean facts down in their classroom. I was down the hall teaching second grade, and Ben's class was teaching or learning ocean facts, and again, K-1-2, so they were doing different things according to their ability. Ben was sitting at the table copying ocean facts down, working on his handwriting and that sort of thing, and there were little ones up closer doing their thing, and I'm down teaching second grade. Well, Ben's teacher and aide came down to my room in hysterics. "You would not believe what your son just did in the classroom." And I'm like, okay, do I need to go haul him out of the principal's office at the end of the day? What happened? And they said, he's just a mini version of his father. And, again, they know his father. I'm like, oh dear, what happened? They were copying ocean facts down. Benjamin, as a second grader, slams his fist down on the table.
I think that would have been first grade if it was ocean facts. I remember that. Okay, we did space in kindergarten, grade. Ocean facts in first grade, and then we did the human body in third. There's a lot of Magic School Bus, so I know what we do.
So he slams his fist down on the table, and he's talking to all these little ones up there by the board, and he says,
"You can say it. Amanda will bleep this time."
Okay. He says, "Jesus Christ, will you sit down? I can't see the board." 6 years old.
You've
That,
always been a rule follower.
well, he was not.
I
Once
really wanted the ocean facts.
he went pee on the trailer facing the crowd, I mean, he didn't listen for a while. Him. Yeah, there you go. So there's the other side of Ben.
My
Okay.
goodness.
We talk about that often. So
The other side of Ben from 30 years ago. Like,
no, I bet he still does it.
it's
They're
fine.
speechless.
I still think this was a good idea. I hope everybody had fun.
I had fun. I
I
learned
did.
some things.
I don't like that.
A very
Taking some
enjoyable
notes.
evening. It is. It's very nice to go back and talk about teaching. It's been so long since I've been teaching. Although once it went, yeah, when I first retired, one of the things I did is I went to the Buffalo Animal Shelter and I volunteered there, and I wouldn't do the dogs because I take them all home, so I did the cats, right? And there was this one of the other volunteers. She was probably about 18 years old, and she was on the spectrum, but she was out there, and she didn't live far from me, so I'd pick her up and I bring her in, and we'd talk and everything, and she said, Denise, she said, you're still a teacher. You're just not teaching math. You're teaching me how to react to, and how to respond to different things that are going on. And I think in some ways we're all teachers, whether we realize it or not. We're just teachers in different ways on different topics. Yeah.
And just last week, my daughter Chloe contacted my mom and is like, I'm about to fail Calc 2. We need to Zoom. And so you are going to be.
I am. I'm going back, and I had to go and pull out an old math book too, because it's been a long time since I did that.
Did you ever do calculus just for fun, Denise?
Do you know what's funny? When I was in college,
Amanda.
I loved calculus, and I loved it because there were all these different compartments of math. There was algebra and geometry and trig and everything. And it was like in calculus, they threw it all together and mixed it up to see what would happen. I was like, how can I do a quadratic formula with trig functions? It was, and then do a derivative. And I just found it so fascinating because it was like, I guess that's what happens when you mix things up. So I really enjoyed calculus.
Yeah, it was fun. Right.
Wow.
Now Amanda's ready to be done.
Yeah.
I did all my statistics homework today. I just want you to know I got through it all.
Are you proud of her?
It was really hard. My brain is old. It's hard to learn when you're 46. It stops being so plastic, I think.
It does.
Anyway.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And good to see you all. And nice to meet you, Kari.
It was
and
nice
Ben
to meet
for
you.
the first time.
Yeah.
Gosh. All right. Thanks, everyone. So, guys, we're going into our summer months. And I think those of you who have been loyal listeners of this show know that we're both taking on some really big projects.
It's true. I think with all of the responsibilities of chair and then working on a grant and trying to do some research and everything related to that, and then Amanda stepping up to be faculty association president, we thought that we would give it try to dial back on some of the things that we're doing.
Yeah. So instead of hearing from us every 2 weeks, like we know that you can't wait to do, you'll still hear from us, but just once a month from now on. And that'll give us the opportunity to put together still like what we think is really good quality content and stay connected with you, but still have fun.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening.